guys. So, last week I started this new book. It's called The Whipping Boy. And I read you the first 6 chapters. And now we're going to get back into it this week. So, we left off with Prince Brat, whose real name is Prince Horace, and the Whipping Boy, whose real name is Jemmy, running away from the palace. They get caught by 2 scoundrels named Cutwater and Hold Your Nose Billy. So in chapter 7, they're now captured by these 2 guys, and we're going to see what happens. Hello, Ellie. Chapter 7, Being an Account of a Great Mix-Up. Cutwater rummaged around in a black oak chest of stolen goods. Handkerchiefs flew out like soiled white doves, worn shoes, ladies' combs, a cowbell, a junk heap. They've had lean pickings. This raggedy pair of highwaymen, Jemmy thought, and maybe not as smart and clever as the song sellers made out. "Here's a scrap of paper, Billy," said Cutwater, finding in the pocket of a stolen coat. "But how are we going to do the scribblement? We can't write." "I've seen it done. Sharpen us a hawk's feather, Cutwater." "I'm hungry," complained the prince. "I'll have a veal pie, sir." Hold Your Nose Billy ignored him. He poked around for a beetroot and squeezed out the juice with his bare hand. It dripped like blood onto a china plate. "There's ink for you, Prince. Take the hawk's feather and scratch out our message." Prince Brat folded his arms. "I don't take orders from curs and villains." "Think of your pa," said Hold Your Nose Billy. "He'll be ever so much obliged to know you're safe and hearty." "I told you I'm hungry." "You won't eat a bean till you do us the document." "But I can't write," blurted out Prince Brat. "And crows can't fly," erupted the big outlaw with a blast of garlicky breath. "You're a prince. Kings and such like are learned to write and read soon as they tumble out of the cradle. Don't think you can pull the wool over our eyes. Hop to it." "But I can't so much as scratch my own name." Jemmy shot a calculating glance at Prince Brat. His pesky hide hardly seemed worth saving, but a scheme had leaped into his head. He might be able to trick these mangy outlaws into letting the prince go, and Jemmy would be rid of Prince Brat once and for all. "Give me the hawk's quill. I'll write the words," he announced. "That's right," Prince Brat chimed in. "My whipping boy knows his letters." "Fall to, Jemmy from the streets." "Hold on," said Hold Your Nose Billy, his sharp gaze flicking from one boy to the other. "This ignorant whipping boy knows his letters, and the royal prince can't sign his own name. Something's amiss here." "What you thinking, Billy?" asked Cutwater. "I'm thinking these lads have mixed themselves up to flummox us." Jemmy lifted his chin arrogantly and tried to look as prince-like as possible. "Nonsense! I'm a mere whipping boy." The big man rumbled up a laugh, showing a mouthful of yellow teeth. "You take us for bedrock numbskulls? Certain as eggs is eggs, you're the prince, the genuine straight up and down royal highness." Prince Brat's face turned red as hot iron. "That ratty street orphan?" he bellowed. "That low-born—" "Silence!" Jemmy commanded. "Can't you see the game is up? They're on to us. Hold your tongue." "But I'm his royal highness." "Gah!" Jemmy thought. This haughty prince didn't have the sense of a gnat. Couldn't he see a plan afoot? "Save your breath," snapped Jemmy. "Stop giving yourself airs, you witless servant boy." it, boy. Dare you address me? Bag your head, snapped Hold-Your-Nose Billy. Give him a kick, Cutwater, if we hear another peep out of him. Hand me the hawk's feather, said Jemmy. I'll write my papa the king. You like this story, Ellie? All right, that was chapter 7. Let's go ahead and read chapter 8. The Ransom Note. Hold-Your-Nose Billy tilted the princely crown on his head. What have you writ down so far? Jemmy glanced up from the sheet of paper. To the king's most sacred majesty, dear papa. Aye, that sounds proper respectful. What else? Our captors are loyal subjects, but scoundrels by trade. Don't cross them. Make that a mite stronger, said the outlaw, beginning to pace. Tell him we're shameful mean, and rough as a sackful of nails. Warn him we fear no gallows. Jemmy dipped the quill in beet juice and continued scribbling. I'll tell him you've got reserved seats in hell. Aye, that's the ticket. Cutwater had begun gnawing away at a roasted pheasant, and his cheeks swelled out as if he had a monstrous toothache. What about the king's soldiers, Billy? Now the fog's lifted, they'll be following the lad like a trail of ants. Puts my spine a shiver. Faugh! Exclaimed Hold-Your-Nose Billy. Even rabbits get muxed up and lost in this forest. We're well hid, Cutwater. I'll warn Papa, Jemmy offered generously, that if you spy out a single uniform, you'll crack my neck like a chicken's. Prince Brat sat sullenly on a pile of moldy bedstraw. He glared icily at the whipping boy who had seized his royal title. And don't forget the reward, Billy, said Cutwater. We want the prince's weight in gold bangers, right? Tell the king that, directed Hold-Your-Nose Billy, in big letters. Now let me reckon out a safe spot to deliver the loot. Jemmy dipped the quill, but then paused. Gah, he thought, it's not enough to choose my words as if I were a prince. Show some high and mighty, Jemmy. Think like a prince. Dimwits, he flared up. Catch penny rogues. I will not be exchanged for such a trifle. My mere weight, a paltry treasure you could carry on a shoulder. How dare you insult me? Hold-Your-Nose Billy's red eyebrows shot up in bewildered surprise. Insult you? A trifle? A prince is worth a prince's ransom. The eyebrows lowered as quickly as they had risen. No offense meant, lad. How would you calculate a proper ransom? A wagon load of gold at the very least, and jewels mixed in. As I'm alive, a wagon load? Cutwater gulped down the wad of fowl in his mouth. We did forget about jewels, Billy. A wagon load it is, then, exclaimed the hairy outlaw. Prince Brat's mouth fell wide open at the whipping boy's nervy mischief. Hold-Your-Nose Billy stood over Jemmy's shoulder and watched the words being scratched out. Finally, he said, Have you made your sign yet? About to, replied Jemmy. With as much flourish as he could manage, he wrote, Your obedient son, Prince Horace. And that is the end of chapter 8. Very interesting what's happening here. It looks like Jemmy and Prince Horace switched places. So now Hold-Your-Nose Billy and Cutwater, they think that Prince Horace is Jemmy and Jemmy is Prince Horace. Wonder why? What happened in this chapter that made them think that the whipping boy and the prince were mixed up? I wonder if it had to do with the fact that Jemmy, the whipping boy, knew how to write and Prince Horace didn't know how to write. Remember that from the early chapters? Okay, on to the next 2 chapters tomorrow. See you then.